our experiences, our lives. We all have a story to tell. Join your host, Michelle Edwards Whitfield, weekly on Chronicles, to engage in lively conversation about this journey called life and the events that have shaped us into the individuals we are today. It's real talk to encourage, real talk to motivate, real talk to inspire, a place to celebrate and to thrive. Chronicles.
Hi folks, come on in.
Chronicles. Our stories, our experiences,
gonna get started tonight.
Our lives. We all have a story to tell. Join your host, Michelle Edwards Whitfield, weekly on Chronicles, to engage in lively conversation about this journey called life and the events that have shaped us into the individuals we are today. It's real talk to encourage, real talk to motivate, real talk to inspire, a place to celebrate and to thrive. Chronicles.
Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you so much for coming in. I know that you folks are loading in. I'm actually broadcasting tonight from the Chronicles page. For the last 4 shows, for the last 4 broadcasts, I've been broadcasting off of Michelle Edwards Whitfield page and broadcasting Chronicles, but we're going to transfer over to the actual page Chronicles because the audience is growing, and so it's coming out of a lot of different places now. So I want to make sure that everyone can see it, that we get a common place so that whether you're my friend or not, you'll be able to come on. So I know that it may take a little time tonight, and I'm hoping that this really works. I'm hoping that it works I'm hoping that people don't get lost, because this is a really important subject that we're speaking about tonight, and I don't have a guest, so I just want to share with you all tonight. There's a lot going on in the world, not going to be before you long, but I think there's something really important that we need to talk about that's happening. Everybody is seeing what's happening in DC, and actually it's really happening everywhere in the country, happening everywhere on the globe, on the planet, and it's happening in my neighborhood, and it's happening in your neighborhood, and that is human trafficking. I think it's very important that we address this because our babies are getting snatched up. So I'm also really motivated to talk about this tonight because I'm also involved in an event and an organization that is focusing on missing children, and it's called Operation Save Our Babies. So if you can do, hi Antoinette, hi Tina. So if you can do that on your page for like the next month going into Mother's Day, because I'll tell you a little bit more about an event that we're going to be doing to support mothers of missing children. I'll talk about that at the end of the broadcast, but I want you to remember hashtag Save Our Babies. So if you're led to, and if you're passionate about what's happening with our children, just every day somewhere in your post or whatever you're talking about, just put a hashtag Save Our Babies. And I see my babies are on here, Chanel and Cherise. Hello. So what I really want to just talk about is how this happens, how our babies are disappearing. Our babies, the boys and the girls, our teenagers, our women. What I have found out, and I've done a little research on it since I decided to do this, that being taken into trafficking, the ages are 1 year old to 18, and then there's another group that goes up to 25. It is amazing to me what is actually happening out there. And these people are being snatched up for labor across the world. They're being snatched up for sexual services across the world. And do you hear me when I say 1 year old to 25? But that teenage range is really, really critical. Right now, my notes are telling me that we have the U.S. Department is stating that there's 12.3 million people missing in the world right now that we're looking for. Babies, teenagers, just gone. And so I think what we really, really need to do is talk about how do we keep our babies safe, and actually how does this take place? That's the first thing that was really on my mind when I started looking at this. And how and where does abduction take place? What do we do? How do we recognize it? Who can be abducted? And how to play it safe in order to keep ourselves safe. And I'm asking people, hi Stacy, hi Michael, I'm asking people to please share this and really share this information with your loved ones, because I saw something on the news and they were talking about a tragedy, and I heard this man say, well, as long as it doesn't touch my house, it doesn't matter. As long as it doesn't affect me, I'm not going to worry about it. But you know, years ago they used to talk about the 6 degrees of separation. That is no more. So if you don't know what the 6 degrees of separation is, that's the principle that every 6 persons are related or know someone in a common knowledge. So that means that back then, if you went into the grocery store, and even if you did not know anybody, for every 6 people, you had some kind of connection somewhere. So let's say, for instance, you had someone in the military, and that person had someone in the military. They could actually maybe on the battlefield together. Well, I don't believe that the 6 degrees of separation exist anymore. I think it's more like 1 degree. Especially with social media, and especially what we have to communicate in the world. So when we talk about how are abductions taking place, how are our children missing, how does that start? What I am realizing is that there are so many different ways that people with deviant minds make connections with people. I read an article this week where a woman said that she was in the grocery store and she had her 2-year-old in the cart in that seat. She was picking up her groceries, and then there was a couple that came up to her and they were saying, oh, yes, Tina, also they're killing for selling organs as well. The black market for organs as well. And she said this couple approached, and the woman started talking to the baby. That was the initial connection. Oh, she's so cute. The baby is cooing, and the child is interacting with this person. And she said, oh, your baby is so beautiful. And so the woman said, thank you so much. And the couple walked away. So she finished her shopping, and as she approached the cash register, this couple came over to the side. Well, they didn't have anything in their hand. And like most people will do, they said, oh, you go ahead. She said, you go ahead. And so the couple walked in front, purchased whatever it was, which was nothing, like a pack of gum or something. And while the woman was scanning this gum for this couple, the woman turned to the baby and started talking again. And so this was a friendly baby, because a lot of times we teach our babies, they don't have to be afraid. When children are raised in a comfortable place, they're not afraid. So the baby started cooing back and talking, and she says, oh, and she reached for the child, and the child began to reach for her. The woman noticed, and her gut went off. Her mommy intuition, her spidey senses went off. And as they did, this woman was swooping the child up, and she grabbed the child, and the woman started talking loud. What are you doing? I see what you're doing. Don't touch my baby. And the couple quickly left. But there was a third individual that was also with them, and he just kind of slowly walked out. The woman said she believed that they were going to abduct her child. That is not far-fetched. That is not uncommon. When I looked up information as to how abductions take place and where, abductions take place everywhere. They take place in the inner city. They take place in urban areas. They take place in farmlands. They take place in the best neighborhoods in the world. Abduction can take place anywhere, and it can pick up anybody. It's not, sometimes I think we have the thought process that, oh, it's just runaways, and because I think sometimes in our minds we try to justify why these things are happening to people, almost sometimes to make us feel better about it, so that we can, because it's a coping mechanism sometimes for us. It's not that we want anything to happen to anyone, but sometimes the coping mechanism is, well, they shouldn't have been out there. Well, sometimes people are just going about life and things are happening. So we need to really start a campaign to make ourselves safe again. When we were growing up, and I think everybody that's on here, except maybe Ebony, Ebony, you too. Hi, Dell. When we were growing up, the whole neighborhood was a snitch. There was no such thing as snitches get stitches. No, if you got snitched on, you were going to get stitches from whoever snitched on you, Miss So-and-so down the street. And then when you got home, they also were going to deal with you. But we had a neighborhood and a community that protected us. We thought they were nosy, nosy Miss Johnson. She always in somebody's business. We need more Miss Johnsons in our world today. I need to be a Miss Johnson. You need to be a Miss Johnson. You need to be a Mr. Johnson. We have to take our neighborhoods back. We need to let these deviant minds know you cannot come on my block. Just like in West Side Story, when they were trying to get this romance going and it was a line, you could not go a foot past West 25th Street. We need to get that again. We need to get back into the place where, hi Michael, how are you? We need to get back into the place of how to protect our children. So when we're talking about where do these abductions take place, they take place in grocery stores, they take place in the playgrounds, they take place in social hangouts, because people can put something in your drugs and in the water or your drink or whatever. They happen on vacations. And nowadays, because a lot of people are independent, a lot of people are vacationing by themselves. They're touring the world and doing these things. And so this conversation tonight, and I will appreciate, this is interactive, so I really need you all to go ahead and I have my assistant here, and she's gonna, because I may not be able to see it all unless you type in caps, but if there's a question, she's gonna let me know what your question is. But the thing of it is that we have to be very careful. A lot of people are going on vacations independently, and that's fine, touring other countries, but we put ourselves at risk. And this conversation, as I was going to say, is not to make us paranoid, but it is to make us aware and make us conscious. Another place where they are really recruiting for trafficking, human trafficking, is, hello Nicole, hello Mr. Whitfield, is college campuses. Our children need to be aware, because the deviant mind is so that they think so craftily than the average person does. So there are a lot of things that are set up. You see these ads in the paper, you know, your son or your daughter might want to be an actor. Your son or your daughter might want to be a musician or might want to be a model. And there's this primo ad that comes across, or it's tacked up on the board at your at your student's college. And they call and they say, yes, I want to do this. And they call and everything sounds so good. Everything is so, yes, and meet me here. Come here so we can get your photo shoot. And since you're a student, you know, we're not going to charge you. We're not going to charge you for it. You just come on in and we'll see how it works. And if you like it, then we'll get the contract. These kids go, and sometimes they're never seen again. So we have to educate our children how to be wise. Our children, the Bible says our children are weaker and wiser. You know, when we were coming up, or if you were a child of the 60s or the 50s, you knew how to look over your shoulder. You questioned everything. We questioned everything. You know, everything was not taken at face value. But now with social media, I encourage parents, get nosy about who your children are, babies, who they're online with. You need to know their passwords. I know they're like, I need to be grown and I need to be this and I need to be that. But we've got to build a trust factor in our homes with our children so that we can talk to them and say, I don't want anything to happen to you. I know you got to grow up. I did things. I went places in college and school. We went to the club. We went here. We went there. But we were able to have enough sense and enough knowledge to know you don't walk away from your drink. This is just common stuff. You don't walk away. If you walk away from it and you forget, you do not drink that one again. I don't care if it's Pepsi. I don't care if it's water. So what we have to do is teach our children how to be safe. We have to have these conversations again. Parents, if your children are grown, Debbie Davis, I thank you for being on here. Debbie Davis is a sister friend of mine who her son is grown and teaching at a school, and now she is volunteering at that school, going back and giving, because our children, sometimes they're not getting what they need in the home. So when they're online and somebody says they're 15 and they're 16 and they're throwing up pictures that are not even them, there's a show called Catfish, and it's just about that. People have romances for months, almost a year, and come to find out that these people don't even exist. They're not real, or they're completely different from the pictures that they're posting. But our children don't know that. Our young people don't know that. So we have to teach them to keep their eyes open. How and where do abductions take place? They can take place by force. They can take place by friendly coercion. How are you? You know, and a lot of them now are using two people tactics, you know, like in the store with the couple, and they're getting really, really crafty with this to lure people. Also, to parents who walk in stores and you just let your kids go everywhere, not good. We need to get away from that, because your child can go around a corner and that corner never come back around. It is that serious out here now. When we're talking about 12.3 million, and that's in the United States. We're not even talking about globally. We're not talking about the trafficking that is coming from here to there and there to here. And this is a very difficult conversation to have, because I even questioned if I was going to do this, because you have to go into a different place. You really got to think about these things. And these are conversations that we have to have in order that we don't lose our babies, because the old adage is, don't say anything about it. Don't speak it, because then it'll happen. No, there are some things that we have to speak about so that they will not happen. We have to talk to our children and say, no, you need to be back in. You know, my oldest daughter is 29 years old. And if I get it in my feeling, I'm like, hey, I'll call her. Hey, where you at? What you doing? How you doing? You know what? I don't know. It just feels kind of weird out there tonight. Have you ever just had one of those nights? Everybody's crazy on the street, full moon, and, you know, people glaring at you. You know, sometimes when I get that, I'm calling my family like, is everybody okay? Maybe we need to hibernate a little bit. Everybody need to get to the house. You know, because the enemy is going to and fro on earth to see who he can destroy. So we have to really, really be wise about these things, along with, I know, you know, in our religious communities and our spiritual communities, you know, we're doing a lot of praying, and that is key. We have people that are praying for, I heard an interview on Tina Hobson's show this week, where there's a sister in DC. That is what she concentrates and dedicates her life to, is praying over those children. And we need that. We so need that. We need intercession in the world. And then we also need to do the other work as well, as educating our children. And they don't have to be ours. We've got to put up the gates around our communities. I remember I lived in Cleveland Heights at one time, and there was a couple that moved in next door to me, and they had 2 young children. And every night I would hear this one child wail at the same time. And, you know, as a mother or as a parent, your ear kind of pricks up, because it's you know, kids got the cry, like, I don't want to go to bed, you know, and then they got the tantrum cry, and then there's a wail, and it would go through me. So I was like, I said, I can't stand it anymore. So I heard this for about a week. They had just moved in. So I called a friend of mine who works for the Department of Human Services. And I said, I don't know. I said, because sometimes kids are just bad. They just yelling or what have you. I said, but something is bothering me. And I thank God for her, because she gave me the steps to do. She said, all we need is the address. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything. Give us the address. We will look up in our database if there's been a problem at this residence, if there's been a problem with the occupants, because it takes the entire community. It breaks my heart when I see on the news and they say the Department of Human Services, they were there, you know, they were there 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And I get it. But you know how many people they're servicing? We cannot look to one entity to guard our neighborhoods, guard our families, and save our babies. We all have to do that. I'm encouraging, I'm imploring that we all step up to the plate. We don't know our neighbors anymore. We don't know our neighbors anymore because we're too busy. We're that. Well, you know, the Jesus and those girls for 10 years, that man had neighbors on both sides of his house. People on both sides coming in and out. Know your neighbors. Get to know them. If there's something suspicious, I'm not saying call the Department of Human Services on everybody. That's not what I'm saying. Please understand what I'm talking about. I'm just saying if you see children that are unkept, that was the other thing. I never saw those children outside. And when I did see them outside, they were unkept. That I was done with it by then. I was done with it. And then I tried to make conversation with this couple because we had a block party. We had a street club, all of that. Everybody knew it. They would never show. So then I started inviting them. I said, you know what, we're going to have a cookout. You know, I want you to feel free to come. And I saw the eyes of the adults look at each other. And I said, something is going on here. So when you see something, say something. When it hits you in your gut, we've got to do that. Are we our brother's keeper? Are we our sister's keeper? Are our children's keeper? Yes. Because don't you want somebody to keep your sister? Don't you want somebody to keep your brother, your babies, your grandbabies, your nieces, your nephews? Yeah, they're our babies. Save our babies is the quantum march that we have to do. We march on everything else, but we've got to just do the everyday stuff to guard our babies. So, what are some of the things that, and if you have questions or if you want to say something, I'm asking you all to please go on there and communicate with each other as well. So when you see somebody else saying something, please go ahead on there and say something as well. Is that my niece? No, that's my cousin, Tara. Hi, Leslie. Who can be an abductor? Who can be someone that's an abductor? Family members can be an abductor. We see it all the time on the news when the Amber Alerts come out. Most of those are not children snatched by strangers. The Amber Alerts are usually disgruntled people, family, domestic, something like that, has taken a child. It could have been somebody in the neighborhood. I don't know about you, but I always look up the sex offenders list for my zip code. I mean, why not? That's not stalking, and that is not trying to cause a problem for people. That's making sure that you don't have a problem. See, when it comes to me and mine, I don't care what you think. I don't care how offended you are, because you can't come here. And if I know or I see somebody in my neighborhood, I see a little child, you know, I have gone down the street and seen a small child walking down the street, and I pull over because I'm looking for the adult. Because I feel it's my responsibility. I'm not going to wait till I see that on the news. Yes, time to save our babies. And our babies are not just these 1-year-olds. Our babies are all these women, these children, these boys. It is time for us to be active in what we're doing for them. Yes, who can be an abductor? Of course, it could be a family member. There are sexual predators out there. Sometimes there are ransom seekers. Well, that'll never happen in my family. They're not coming to get ransom. We're here. You know, they usually go to people in a different tax bracket. So I'm safe with that. For right now. Okay, and then you have your everyday average deviant that's out there. Could be a teacher. Absolutely. Yeah, it could be a teacher. It could be a minister. It could be anyway. Yeah, they just had a teacher that abducted a teenage student. I don't know if they were having an affair or what. Yeah, it could be anyway. It could be your local grocer. It could be your priest. It could be your sister. It could be anyone. I remember teaching my oldest daughter. She was 3 years old and going to Montessori. So since she was going to school, I knew she was smart enough. But I remember crying because I felt like I had to take her innocence away from her. But you know what? Because I needed to tell her about good touches and bad touches at 3 years old, because she was no longer just going to be in the home with me. But the resolve within me was, I'd rather cry now and tell her what to do rather than cry later when the word come back. So I had to just take my little baby's hands and say, listen, you're 3 years old. You know how to take care of yourself. You don't need any help in this area. Okay? You don't need uncle to help you. You don't need auntie to help you. You come to mommy. And if mommy is not there, it's okay. We'll handle it later and at home. We need to have those conversations. Yeah. We need to have those conversations with our babies. And we need to tell them, I don't care what anybody tells you. Nobody can hurt me. So don't let anybody tell you that nobody will hurt you. Don't let anybody tell you they're going to be mad at you. We got to say those words to our young, to our babies. Don't let anybody tell you that mommy won't love you. Don't let anybody tell you that mommy won't believe you. Because as long as you're truthful, I mean, you know, we don't give them carte blanche to lie or whatever, but we tell them as long as you're truthful, mommy's got your back, daddy's got your back, and we won't let anybody hurt you. So I'm not talking to those good parents. I'm just talking to people. And I shouldn't say good parents. I'm not talking to parents who are already doing that. I'm encouraging parents who have not thought about that. I'm encouraging you to do that. Okay. So, I think I got away from my order because I got notes tonight because I was so passionate about this. What do we do? How do we play it safe? The goal is to always play it safe. Again, and not to be overboard in our emotions or not to be overboard in fear and walking around looking over our shoulders, you know, but sometimes I look over my shoulder. I mean, I've been in a restaurant and, you know, sometimes somebody's standing really, really close to you and you're like, you're in my personal space here, you know. So one of the things that I looked up when the police and FBI and they're talking about, you know, if you feel, trust your gut. Sometimes we can tell when somebody, you know, we feel like somebody is in close proximity of us. You know, just be aware of your surroundings. Be aware if you're coming in and out of a store and you see the same person right there in front of you. And again, these are tips to share with our children. And I need to go back to this with our children on the internet. Our babies are always on there and they tell everybody where they're going all the time. So, and their pages are public. So just like you can get on this page, you don't have to be my friend to be on this page. So our children, our young ones have their pages public. So that means there are people out there just perusing. Just peruse. They could go through the alphabet. Annie, Alice, you know, Olivia. They could just go through and just find all these people. And then our kids are doing all these Facebook Lives and they're doing that. Again, I understand that they're going to live in the world that they're in, but somebody of authority needs to be sharing in that with them. And just saying these things to them. You know what? You got to be careful because sometimes people are looking for you. And then we need to make sure that our children are not looking for somebody as well. Okay. Another way to be safe is to avoid being by yourself. If a lot of us are working, or if you work downtown, or if you work in a place where sometimes maybe you're getting off at night and it's still dark and you have to walk to a parking lot or something. You know, we have to get these things. Get mace. Get those sirens on your key ring. Get a whistle. I heard on Tina Hobson's show they were talking about that, and I remember as a kid I had a whistle. That's what made me think about it. I remember my mom giving me a whistle, and my mother, even as she got older, when she would take her walks in the park, she went back to carrying a whistle. Not a bad thing. And then to teach our children that it's not for play. To teach our children that it is for serious. If something has happened, like stranger danger, that kind of thing, just to help our children to be aware, to be in a safe place. An abductor could be a police officer, unfortunately. And I know wonderful, wonderful police officers. But we have to teach our children language. And I used to teach my girls I would tell them, I said, listen to the voice in your head and then listen to that grumble in your stomach. Because I said, if something is not right, it's going to hit you here. Because it's going to be like, but then it's going to hit you in the pit of your stomach. Trust your gut. They used to tell them, trust your gut. So we need to help our children to do that.
Charles Smith said, She tells her children to turn their location status off on their phones.
Oh.
Through Facebook.
Oh, okay. So Tara said, thank you. So Tara said she tells her kids to turn their location status off, because I think, Tara, you as the parent too, if you have that a parent can always get through, but everybody else can't. Yeah, that's that check-in. So, like when you see that on your Facebook statuses, and because I know some of us who are past 25, we don't necessarily think about all of the things that our phones and our technology is doing. So yes, that's for our kids, but that's for us too, because deviants are looking, they're paying attention. We don't know who they are. I will say one video that speaks to it is Stevie Wonder's Skeletons. If you all remember that, and I think that's from the 90s. Skeletons in Your Closet. Remember the man was walking in the suit and the tie, and he had another lifestyle at home, and then the little girl walking down the street, all dressed and primped, hair done and all of that, was being abused at home. Skeletons. Just YouTube it. It's really, really powerful.
Cynthia said always try to change up and not going to the same way all at the same time.
Okay, so Cynthia said, thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, change up our routes, change up our routines to do that. And again, teaching our babies to do the same thing. You know what? If our babies, and I know sometimes it's difficult for us to have this conversation, because I want to reiterate too that I'm going to ask you from now to Mother's Day to in your post put hashtag Save Our Babies. Listen, our 1-year-olds, I've seen them on YouTube, I've seen them on Facebook Live. They can repeat every filthy, vulgar song there is out there. They can remember it. They can dance. They can do that. We need to talk to our babies. They'll get it. They'll understand it. I think more so what it is that we struggle. I think the mommies and the daddies and the aunties and the uncles and the village nowadays are too busy to do these things, but we've got to do the work so that we don't find ourselves and understand that I know that there are a lot of things that are happening that are not of our not within our power. So that's not what I'm addressing tonight. I'm talking about from today moving forward. I'm also talking about when we see our babies on the street, because sometimes what they're also doing, what I read, is that they're drugging these people, women, children, in one location and just waiting for them to drop when they get. So sometimes when we're seeing things, and I encourage you, because when I see someone that looks like they're struggling, I just say a prayer too. I always say a prayer for people. Lord, help them. Please protect them. When I see women at the bus stop, or, I see an old man or something, just, it doesn't hurt to help someone. I was leaving one location last night and I was really in a hurry, and I saw an old man on the street corner. He was trying to flag the bus down that was in the middle, the third lane over, turning lane. So I stopped because I saw him, and the bus driver saw that I was going to stop, and I kind of angled my car so nobody else would come, so that he could get over to get on the bus. That's a simple kindness. That's just a simple kindness. And that's really, there's so much going on in the world. Again, I'm just encouraging us. And all of these things lead up to saving our babies. Again, we want to be aware of our surroundings, persons that are near us or walking towards us.
Yolanda Johnson said utilize the buddy system.
Yes, Yolanda, thank you. Utilizing the buddy system. Yeah, do not go anywhere by yourself if you can help it. I mean, it's like my youngest daughter, you all know, the musician, she's 19, going on 20. Let me tell you, we posse up when she's got to go out here, because she's carrying equipment, she's got all this stuff, and I tell her, and so when she was getting older, I could tell that she was kind of like, I can handle it. And so we explained to her, this is not about that you can't handle it. It's not that we don't trust you. We don't trust the world around you. So that's really all it is. It's not that we do not trust you. And I think our children struggle with that. It's like, I want to do what I want to do. You don't trust me and all of that. We have to let them know, no, that's not what that's about. This is about because we love you. And look at the world that's happening. Pull up the news. They're all on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Some of them don't even know what's going on in the world around them. They don't even know about these young ladies in D.C. They don't know. And we don't know about what's happening here in our own city. there is a lot happening within our own city, and I'm going to give you some information of organizations. So if you know or if you notice something, say something. If you have a gut feeling about something, if you can investigate yourself, if you can just talk to the person, how are you? You know, because there are signs. They also talk about signs that you can tell when someone may be in human trafficking. They avoid eye contact. So let's say you're traveling and you go to a restaurant and you see a young lady and she's sitting there, or a little boy, and you could tell a child who's happy, you know. They're just all over the place. But if you see one that's kind of sullen and just kind of like not looking at people, you know, go to your table or go wherever you want, but watch. And even if they suggest that even if the child like goes to the restroom or something, and you're just like, hi, how you doing? Oh, you out for school, huh? And they're not talking back to you. And I don't mean like in a rude way. I mean just totally removed from the situation. You may be encountering a child or a person that's in trouble. I know that they started a movement with women who are abused with the black circle in the palm of their hand. So if they come into a place and they're with an abuser and they're trying to get away, they can show the palm of the hand, and then you will know that that's a cry for help. I don't know. Maybe we have to get something for our babies. You know, I don't know what we could do for our babies. I don't have to be the one to figure it out. If God gives it to me, I will gladly. But, you know, whatever we do, I remember with my children, we got passwords. So nobody can call you on your phone. Because nowadays, it's not just adults. Sometimes kids are working with other kids to do things to each other. So they're partnering up with these kids in school because they want to bully and they want to do these things. We've got to talk to our children. We've got to help them. We've got to tell them that you don't have to be so popular that you want to be in a place where somebody's abusing you or being mean to you. You know, it's so many different levels to this thing of saving our babies and this human trafficking, because nobody is exempt. Understand that. I don't care how deep you are in your spirituality. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care where you live. No one is exempt. But what we can do is mobilize together and help each other. So this conversation tonight is about pricking the conscience. This conversation tonight is about helping us all to raise our level of awareness and consciousness so that we can help each other. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know how many more babies I can see the news coming across and flashing. Our little Tiara that's here in the city. Just so many. The names just escape me. So we want to be cautious and we want to be careful. And again, share this with your young people. Put it on their pages. What do you care? You're their parents. Put this on their pages. Let them know, I want you to see this, you know, or share it at home and sit down with them and say, you know what, let's have this conversation. I pray that this conversation will lead to another conversation, maybe. Maybe it'll open the door for voices to interact. That would be great.
Michelle Draper said Facebook page should only be for friends, not public. Invites bad elements.
I hear you. Yeah, Michelle, I hear you. I hear you on that. And because a lot of people say, oh, I hate Facebook because it's so much mess. Well, that just depends on who you let in your circle. That's what Facebook is for. You can let in who you desire to let in. Now, some people have their pages public, Michelle, because they do public things. Okay, so my page is public because I do Chronicles, and I'm always giving information because that's my mission in life, is to empower women to their greatest level and also to influence the world. So that's the reason I share a lot of things on there. People know from years ago stuff on there is about my family and things like that, but you don't see as much of it, but they still here. Yeah, they still hanging around. But that is the reason my page is public. And some people use their pages just for business or what have you. But I do hear what you're saying. If you're not doing that, if you're not publicizing anything, or if you're not using your page for that, you definitely should. And I just recently went public with my page, so I completely understand, because I just cracked like 600 friends, and I've been on Facebook since like 2007, something like that, 2009. So yeah, that is really, really good. And I think we should encourage our young people don't have their pages public, because that's where predators go as well. So that's a very, very good point.
Tara Smith said not to be so distracted with phones, not to be aware of their surroundings.
Exactly. Because when you go into a restaurant, everybody is here. Everybody is here. It's like my husband, we went out to dinner the other week, and he was like, "You're going to put that phone down." But my excuse was, "Honey, this is my life. Facebook is my life. This is what I do." He was like, "No, not now. 2 hours, 2 and 2 I need." But isn't that a little bit shameful that our world is like that now? We are just so, it's like, and I confess, I'm addicted to my phone. So, pray for me. Pray for a sister. But you're absolutely right. I even heard a doctor say, this is a side note, said that in 20, 30 years, everybody who is aging will have neck problems because of this. So, our doctors tell us to, have our phones up, but we don't do that. We sit and we do this, or it's on the table. And so they're saying so many people are coming in with spinal column problems, and because it radiates all the way down the back. So we're going to pay for technology.
Cynthia said, take the earbuds out and be watchful.
Take the earbuds out and be watchful. Exactly. We were just talking about a young lady that was killed on some railroad tracks, and they don't know what happened. They don't know why she was on the track, or they don't know why she didn't hear the train coming. And my daughter said she may have had earbuds in. How many times have you been turning a corner and you got to wait for them to keep walking because they don't see you? They don't hear you, nor do they see you. So again, another conversation with our young people. If someone approaches you, we need to teach our young people, if someone is approaching them, or someone acts like they're grabbing them or coming towards them, just get loud. "Hey, what are you doing? I don't know you. What is it you want? Get away from me." We can encourage them to get loud. I hope that's not a Pandora's box. With our young people, giving them permission to get loud. Well, we just make it real clear. You're not getting loud with me. You're getting loud with an abductor, would-be potential, what have you. So that's another thing that we can do.
Yolanda Johnson said, recent story of an airline stewardess recognizing the warning signs of a young girl on a flight, notified the police, and they were waiting when the plane landed. The stewardess recognized the signs of someone in human trafficking. Wow.
She said, and I guess it's here, the story about someone recognized, who was it? Yolanda Johnson. Thank you, Yolanda. About a stewardess recognize the signs, and that's really what it is. That's the part of being our keeper. That's the part of being the keeper for each other. Just stepping out of ourselves, stepping out of our comfort zone. Not saying it's none of my business, but there was a child being trafficked on the airplane. She recognized it, called the authorities, and so when they landed, they were waiting. She saved a child's life. She saved a child's life. And how many of us, just think about it. It's just about being aware. And that's what we need to do. And it's also about the conversations with our children. If our children want to go out and they're like, "Mom, can I go, to the movies, and I want to go to the club?" My girls will tell you it was a lecture. Not a long one. Just be safe. Keep your eyes open. Be aware. Don't put your drink down. Don't put your Coke, your Pepsi, whatever, wherever you are. Don't put it down. Be aware of your surroundings. When you're going to your car, have your key ready to get in. Look over your shoulder. When you get in your car, look in your back seat. Conversations. It's worth it to keep our babies safe. So I just want to know, because I actually said I wasn't going to be on here long tonight. What I want to also say is that although it is a blessing that we have law enforcement, that we have law enforcement available, that we can call the police. But when you think about it, when something happens, we are calling the police after the situation has taken place. What we want to be is proactive. We don't want situations on our blocks. We don't want situations in our homes. We don't want situations in our schools. We don't want to get the news. So we need to be proactive. We don't want the police to have to come on our block and tell us somebody is gone or somebody is missing. We want to be proactive. We want to know our neighbors. We want to talk to our kids. So what are your suggestions? What are you all thinking about? Like if you think about your block, if you think about your street and you envision the people that are on your street, the young people that are on your street, the seniors that are on your street, the working parents that are on your street, when you think about even just that one block radius, when you think about what you can do to protect that one block, we're not even talking about your whole city. I don't care if you live in Warrensville, Maple, Beechwood, Solon, Parma. But if you can just think about the block of houses that are on your street and you know who's in those houses, you know who it is that you're seeing every day coming in and out. What is it that you can do? What is one thing? And somebody just, if you guys start typing, what is one suggestion that you have that you could do to make your block safer? And the other side of the question is, for the young people on your block, how often do you speak to them? Do they know you? Outside of them walking across your grass, you opening the door and shouting words of love to them. So because all we have to do is we could just start in our backyard. We can just start across the street. I started, as my kids were growing up, I started like talking to the kids who would ask me for a quarter at the store, or ask me for $1 because it's gone up with inflation. I stopped. I began to have a conscious mind about not snarling at them, like, no, I don't have nothing, or what, or even if they were older, because, what I'm thinking when they're older, I'm like, no, you need to go get a job. You need to go. My brothers had, newspaper route. So what I started doing was, and I said, can I give you $1? What do you need $1 for? I started a conversation. Now, first of all, when you start a conversation with them, they like, I'm not looking for no trouble. I just want $1. So most of them are so impatient, they don't even want to have the conversation. So, I said, tell me why I would give you my $1. Just tell me why. Well, because I want to get, I just want to get something to drink. Okay, you want to get something to drink. So you're thirsty? So water is not doing it. Okay. So how old are you? Okay. All right. So are you in school? Start these conversations, what is it that you like to do? Because we can plant seeds even right there on the street. We can plant seeds and somebody else can come and water it. How many of us that are doing something, or God has blessed us to have some normality in our lives? We got family, we got what have you. But somebody planted a seed. A teacher planted a seed. A family member planted a seed. A minister, our church life, our whatever, planted seeds in us. Somebody said something, even if we did not want to hear it at that time. But somewhere it came back to be a blessing to us. So let's plant seeds.
Said what happened to block parties, knowing your neighbors, building a rapport in the community.
Yeah, block parties. That was one of the favorite things that we had in Cleveland Heights, right? Block parties, it was. So it's like if somebody new moved in on the block, you knew who that person was. Somebody knocked on the door, and I remember when I was younger, when I was growing up, somebody always brought some cookies or, a cake or something to share, to learn a new neighbor. I think in Love and Basketball, that's what she did when the people moved in next door and she was looking. She wanted to know who that was. She said, I'm about to bake this cake. And her husband said, you don't bake. She said, I'm baking today because I'm going over here and find out who this is in this house next door. Yeah, I think it's okay for us to know who we labor amongst, who we live amongst. Again, saving our babies.
Watch children as they walk to and from school.
Yeah, we can take it upon ourselves. So if you can't get your entire neighborhood, if you're at home, you can just decide, you know what, I think I'm going to stand at the corner of the block. I think I'm going to stand on my porch, stand on my porch and tell them as they pass by, have a good day. Have a good day. Some of these babies, I don't care what neighborhood you live in, sometimes our babies are coming out of a lot of turmoil within the walls. And they need to know that maybe this is my safe haven. Maybe this is where, because I can't talk to anybody, but she's telling me to have a good day. At least I know, or at least I can feel as though I can go here. Or if they're getting chased home from school from some bullies, because you know how these kids are, maybe they can feel, if I could just get to Miss Michelle's house, if I could just get to Miss Brown's door, I'm just gonna act like that's my house. I'm going to Miss Brown's house and I'm gonna knock on the door. Yeah, we have to. We have to, folks. I think we really do. So, basically, I think I can just go on and on about it, but I just want to really encourage us, especially with all of this trafficking going on. It is real. It is happening here in our city. And I want to tell you about something that is going on for Mother's Day, May 13th. And you may have seen me post about it. And it's also why I'm asking you to use the hashtag Save Our Babies, because there is a movement started. And let me tell you, there can never be enough movements to save our babies. You can start a movement, and you can start a movement, and you can start a movement. We can all start a movement to save our babies. But this movement is going to take place. It is called Operation Save Our Babies, and that's what I mean. Please, with your hashtag Operation Save Our Babies. If everybody could just put that in there for me now so I know you got it. Hashtag Operation Save Our Babies. So when you're doing something on Twitter, when you're doing something on Instagram, put out there. You don't even have to put anything else with it. Put your picture or put whatever you want. Put the sign of love. Put a baby's face. Put your niece. Put your nephew. Put somebody that you love on there and put hashtag Operation Save Our Babies. Operation Save Our Babies here in Cleveland, which is led by the executive director of the Cleveland chapter, Dr. Jatea Wiley, and her wonderful team are teaming up with the, let me get my information. And I'm going to put this in the notes for you guys as well. I'm sorry. Okay. The Cleveland Collaborative to End Human Trafficking. Okay. They have a Facebook page. You can Google them. You can go to their Facebook page, and I would encourage you to go there. Again, it's the Cleveland Collaborative to End Human Trafficking. So thank you for putting that in. And you can also, and I want to give you a website also of www.operationsaveourbabies.com. These two organizations are teaming up because they want to show love to a group of mothers in the city of Cleveland who are still standing on the porch waiting for their babies to come home. Their babies are missing. Their children are missing. And there is a host of mothers here. And there's not a lot of talk that takes place. I'm grateful that Channel 8 is bringing it back, that are missing children segments that are going to be shown again so that we can keep them before us and also keep these mothers and these families in prayer. But the Cleveland Collaborative to End Human Trafficking and Operation Save Our Babies is joining together to give a group of mothers a beautiful Mother's Day spa day. It's called a pamper day, a pink pamper day. So what we're asking for is that you go to the website of www.operationsaveourbabies and take a look at what we're going to be doing. They are going to be receiving gifts. They are going to have a wonderful day of pampering with mini facials and massages and food and fun, just to show them love and to encourage them while they are in this place of having missing children. So we're asking that you sponsor a mother. If you want to do something, we've had this conversation tonight and you're like, what can I do? I don't really know what I can do. Okay, so yeah, we talked about all those things that we can do individually, but if you really want to touch a life, if you want to have hands on and know that you have brought some joy to someone's life, we are glad to have you to be a part of this great movement, www.Operation Save Our Babies, and encouraging mothers whose children are missing. There is a sponsorship page there. You can do a whole sponsorship yourself. There are 3 different levels, actually 6 different levels that you can look at. But then what we also have is we have some people that are joining together to sponsor a mother, to sponsor this beautiful day for them. So if your family wants to come together, all the women in your family, they say, you know what, this is what we're going to do because we're blessed enough that this is not our situation. So let's be a blessing to somebody else. So you can get your group at your church. You can get your civic group together. You can have a group at work to do it as well. You can name yourself the mom warriors or women warriors or whatever it is that touches your heart in being able to come together to support the Cleveland Collaborative to end human trafficking and also Operation Save Our Babies. We want to give them a beautiful day, give them beautiful gifts, spoil them and pamper them, and we need your help to do that. So please go to that website, look at the sponsorship page. We welcome you to do that on your own or do it independently or do it collectively with a group. Again, we thank Dr. Jatea Wiley, who is heading this up here in Cleveland. We thank Martha of La Look Boutique in Chagrin Falls, who will be the lovely host in her lovely boutique there. And we're just excited to do this. I'm so grateful. We are so grateful for the folks that are coming on. When you support this with your sponsorship, your name of your group or your organization or your name will be in the commemorative booklet. You will see the article in regards to what you were a part of, and then you walk away knowing that you touched somebody's life in a very, very dark time for them. So that's it. Thank you all so much for coming on. I appreciate it when you like, when you share, and when you follow. I thank you that you all don't leave me out here every week by myself. Again, let me just say that I love it when you all inbox me or you tell me what you want to talk about. That makes it easier on me, so we can certainly do that. This segment was brought to you by Influence Media Entertainment Group, where marketing makes a difference. They can be reached at 1-440-549-0620. The email is yourinfluence, the number 1, at gmail.com, and the website is www.iimeg.com. So that's www.iimeg.com. And again, we thank Influence Media Entertainment Group for sponsoring this segment, and I appreciate you all. Remember, hashtag Operation Save Our Babies. Inbox me if you have any questions about it. Please share that information. Talk to your boss, your employers, or what have you. We need as many people in on this as possible so that we can make a difference in this city, also to bring awareness. Remember, hashtag Operation Save Our Babies. Good night. Thank you all.